If anybody wonders what's really going on, there are two constants. You have a soul, which is an electromagnetic signature that's unique to you and you alone in the universe. There is technology which can entrain your soul and separate your soul from your body. If your mind, which is essentially your interface to your soul, which is an interface to your body, which is primarily animated through spirit, which is just pure energy unrefined. If your mind becomes entrained, tethered, vibrating at one rate, and a system that vibrates so similar to it that the rates entangle, and then that entanglement is withdrawn through powerful magnetic fields, and you're literally magnetically pulled from the body, the soul, and the body is destroyed, your soul is then under the, let's just say, guardianship of whoever owns the machinery that is used to operate that process. Beyond who's doing what, who's who, where's, when's, what's going down, whatever, that's a process that you've been warned about. Ever since you saw in the movie Mulan with the spiritual forces, or I don't know, some of the earlier stuff, a weird one that just came to mind because of my experience is Back to the Future. You can see how there's different versions of each person in different timeline. Oh, snap. What does that mean about the soul? The soul is something so much more expansive than just what you're capable of understanding in this single, experience. But the idea is, I'm trying to think of a good other movie. That's why Disney exists. That's why that's there. If you see it and you don't realize it's just the same as the ancient knowledge, the books people have been preaching to you, which the system of the knowledge and the knowledge keepers in public are 110% as corrupt as the devil himself, and might even actually be the devil himself wearing a mask. But the knowledge goes way back before they ever got their paws on it. Their clawed hands. And so, if you know about it, then everything else is a distraction. Because how good is that information going to be for you if you're not aware of these entrainment methods that are used through scalar frequencies, emissions, technologically generated bioemissions that can match your brain waves and interface with your brain through a technological system and control your body autonomously or through user-guided control and override your natural willpower. And if all that information bombardment is just a distraction or a primer to prepare you for interface, then it puts things into a different perspective. But that constant is still there. The other constant, you have a body. If you go outside and you plant a seed, and that tomato or strawberry or whatever it is, say you're on the West Coast, say you're Midwest or wherever, and it comes out mutated or with a high level of heavy metals, and you didn't fertilize that mother with no store-bought chemicals, then there's something going on with the ecosystem and the food and ultimately genetics, the ability to reproduce. If your mind and your body is not protected, then what does that information relate to? Other than becoming scapegoat for everybody to point to and ignore their own self-responsibility. For having, by the time you get to a scapegoat that you can point to, you done effed up. Because if you're pointing at them, that means you went 20, 30, 40 years, whatever you've been alive, and you ignored all your own self-responsibility to handle your affairs. Because if by the time that comes around, and you're caught up still looking up at that like the chickens with their heads off, not gonna be good what happens next. So you have to be prepared. You have to protect your mind. If your mind is not yours, and your body is distorted, and the literal electrochemical signals are disrupted and not firing correctly, your hormones, your adrenals, your digestive process, neurochemicals, everything is disrupted, your immune system, your blood balance, sugar or glucose and salt, potassium, and that's all out of whack. It's going to take more than a book or a sighting of classified military craft to change anything. So, along with the infighting and the distractions, so you should believe this person or that person. Don't believe anybody. Don't believe me. Just believe yourself. And don't believe anything unless you see it. That's the main thing. If somebody's telling you some stuff, okay, if you've never seen it, if I tell you about clones and certain things and you've never seen it, and you know in your mind and heart that the information doesn't relate to you, alright, then good. If you've checked people out, and politics, politicians, celebrities, and biochemistry and genetics experiments, and what some of these reports that they've been doing since the 80s, since the 70s, all the way until now, it's real weird now. And you're like scratching your head, okay, maybe you can think of something, look into it. If it has no effect, you're not ready for it. Don't look into it, or don't look into it. Just don't blindly be like, this makes sense, I'm gonna go with it, because it's weak-minded to do that. But if you've been looking at, that's why I don't really waste too much time with that, because you look at Tesla, you look at some of the genetic experiments, all the way back, you look at Egypt, and you look at ancient history and what they were doing with advanced technology, you look at the rule of war, which is the victor decides history, period. That's it. You lose, you're gone. You never existed. Okay, you see that everybody's lying. Or, maybe not that everybody's lying, but that what we're being told publicly is an illusion. It's common sense. I made $2 trillion. Well, do you tell... Oh, I never lie. I've never lied. And this bank account just runs away. No. Okay. Their bank accounts are islands, are nations, are populations, are social groups that they manage. Yeah, imagine doing that in a job like that and not lying or doing anything wrong, where people can't have a job at Burger King without being corrupt. And then knowing that wealth and power leads to corruption. It's based upon corruption. They're hand in hand. There's no such thing as power without corruption. Unless you're a double agent. But you can look at my post with those words in the title, or at least the post with the title, The Inside Man, for information on how that works. Maybe the devil is an inside man. The point is, and then they said, so that's why I believe in this. The point is, if there's any room for distraction, then that's the goal. And as long as there's room for it, it will be used against you. Meanwhile, the two constants, your life, your body and your mind, or your soul, are being corrupted and targeted through scalar psychotronic warfare, which is what you could call spiritual warfare, literally right out of the ancient texts, the Battle of the Heavens. And there's a genetic war taking place, more or less eugenics. We're all in a way, being graded, but it's more about self-responsibility that is inherent to a system of life. There's ways to cheat, but these are loopholes which close out. Without the proper requirements, no one gets ahead, no one leaves this place and goes above or anywhere better. You can go to a parallel, which might give you the power, the pleasure, the desire that you want. That's not above. It just seems different. And what you gain there, you actually lose in what you can learn from here. Because here we have duality, and that's where we're capable of learning. Because right now that's where we're capable of being tricked. Once we are no longer tricked, this is no longer about duality. But, remind yourself of that. There's a scalar psychotronic war for your mind and your body. And there are intensely advanced technologies which can match multiple minds simultaneously and they can create and generate the outcome through your involvement without you knowing. It's called, one reference is 64-dimensional